Hey guys, it's Mr. Miller here, and today we're going to be learning how to convert percents to decimals, decimals to percents, percents to fractions, and fractions to percents. So we got a lot to cover here. I am looking at what is labeled 15.1 notes. 15.1 notes. This is right after the chapter 4 material. So if you don't have your workbook at home, that's totally fine. Just follow along. This first portion is pretty simple. All right. To convert a percent to a decimal. So if we have a percent, all you have to do is move the decimal 2 places to the left. So when I have 35%, if I want to convert that to a decimal, think about when you don't see the decimal, it's at the far right side, it's understood it's there. Move it 1, 2 places. So 35% is 0.35 as a decimal. On number 2, we have 160%. Same thing, all you do is move it 2 places to the left. So to convert this to a decimal, move it 1, 2, and we get 1.60, or you could just write it as 1.6. That is what the number would be. 74.8%, same thing. Move it 2 places to the left. 1, 2. 0.748. And then when you have 0.3%, I know it's a little awkward dealing with something less than 1%, kind of like when you're dealing with something greater than 100%. You still do the same thing. Move it 2 places to the left. So I'm going to rewrite it out here. So if we have 0.3%, to convert it to a decimal, I'll just move my decimal 1, add a 0 for 2, so it ends up being 0.003. So if that's how you convert a percent to a decimal, when you're going from a decimal to a percent, you just do the opposite. You move it, the decimal 2 places to the right. So when I have 1.23, I'll move it 2 places to the right. I get 123%. 0.49, also known as 49 hundredths. Move it 2 places to the right. We get 49%. 0.024, convert that to a percent, move it 2 places to the right, you get 2.4%. And lastly, 0.881, to convert that to a percent, move it 2 places to the right, and get 88.1%. So whenever you can't remember which way you move the decimal, think of something that you do know. Most of us know that 25% is a quarter. It's 25%, they go out of 100. So 25%, if I divided this into fourths, that would be 25%, which is 0.25, also known as 1/4. Which leads us to the next section here, where let me get my mouse going. Where we want to write the percent into a fraction in simplest form. Now to do this, think a percent. First of all, we need to understand what a percent is. A percent is a number compared to 100. So a percent is a ratio when you compare a number to 100. So when I have 48%, that as a fraction would be 48 100ths, so 48 to 100. Okay? So think if you shot 48% in a basketball game, if you shot 100 shots, you would be making 48 out of the 100. Now, we can reduce this, of course, by divide both of these. I know they're both even, divide them by 2. Half of 48 is 24. Half of 100 is 50. I can reduce this further. They're both even. Divide them both by 2. Half of 24 is 12. Half of 50 is 25. And I cannot reduce this any further. So in lowest terms, this 48% ends up being 12/25. All right, the next one is a little trickier. When you're dealing with a percent that has a decimal embedded. So again, first of all, think a percent is a number compared to 100. So when I have 15.5%, that is 15.5 compared to 100. Now, you can't reduce decimals when they're embedded in a fraction. So what you have to do is clear the decimal. You have to get rid of it. So we want to get this decimal so it's as far right to turn this into a whole number. So we're going to move it one place, which is essentially, when you do that, you're multiplying by 10. So we have to move this one place, which means we have to add a 0. Again, that's just like multiplying by 10. That gets us now 155 over 1,000. Now notice there's no decimal, so we can reduce just like we do with normal whole numbers. First thing I notice, well, this ends in a 5, ends in a 0. They're both divisible by 5. 5 goes into 155 31 times. 5, well, let's see. The way I would do this, I think, well, 5 goes into 10 2 times, and I add the 2 zeros, so 31 200ths. And that's as simple as we can get it. Oh man, look at the next one. This one's going to be, this one's going to get a little intense. I'm going to blow it up here so you have some more room. All right, 84.95%. To convert this to a fraction, okay, first of all, think, what is a percent? A percent is a number compared to 100. So I'm going to write this as it is, 84.95 over 100. Next, we need to clear our decimal. So I need to move it 2 places to the right, which is essentially multiplying by 100. I have to move the one in the denominator 2 places to the right also, because if you do it on the top, you got to do it on the bottom. 1 add a 0, 2 add a 0. So now what we're looking at is 8,495 over 10,000. Yuck. All right, so to reduce it, first thing I notice, well, they're both divisible by 5. This ends in a 5, this ends in a 0. So I'm going to have to do some long division. 8,495 divided by 5. Well, 5 goes into 8 one times 5 is 5. Subtract it out, I get 3. Bring down the 4. 5 goes into 34 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. Subtract it out, I get 4. Bring down the 9. 5 goes into 49. 9 times 5 is 45. Subtract out, you get 4. Bring down the 5. 5 goes into the 45 9 times evenly. So we get 1,699. Then when I divide this by 5, again, use the same trick I used on the previous problem. Well, I know 5 will go into 10 2 times. And then I just add 1, 2, 3 zeros. And from here, this is in lowest terms. 1,699 2 thousandths.